Good morning. Welcome. Just make a couple adjustments here. There we go. That just feels better. So my gratitude for you today, for your patience. For some reason, I wasn't able to log on to my internet for a little bit. So hopefully the speed, the bandwidth is enough. I don't know what's happening. It's a beautiful, clear morning though. And so good morning from where I am to wherever you are, whether it's afternoon or evening. Thank you again for coming today. I just realized that I left my glasses on the table when I ran to check the internet, so I'll be right back. Okay. Perfect. Now I can see. So we'll just go ahead and begin. Say, sometimes we come up against little bits of adversity, right? I was actually having this discussion last night with a friend, and that's what I was going to talk about this morning. But maybe first, let's get some breathing in and enter into some shared meditation. How does that sound? Okay. So find yourself in a comfortable position, whether it's on your cushion, rug, mat, pillow, or chair. You could even be lying on your back in Shavasana on a bed, couch, or floor. Sitting in a car seat, standing in the subway, wherever it is that you are listening right now. We're seeking balance. I'm going to go ahead and play a larger bowl this morning. Get some good clearance. With the sound of the bell, we are brought into awareness. Find yourself in a position to elongate the spine, becoming fully present with the body. You may want to stretch in a backward arch, pinching the shoulder blades together, lifting the chin, rolling the shoulders back and forward and back again. Wiggle the hips, stretch the thighs and the quads. Check your breath. We want to be using our diaphragm for deep, elongated breaths. And as we find our balanced position, eyes closed or lightly open with a soft gaze, we'll just breathe. As we notice our breath becoming more rhythmic, settled and calm as our bodies relax into our balanced position. Let's do a quick scan just to see if there are any bits of tension, entanglements, mentally, emotionally, and physically. See where you feel any tension, any bit of struggle to release. Let's bring our focus and our awareness to that place of tension. And for the next 3 breaths, when you breathe in, I want you to imagine breathing in directly to that tension. Picture that tension filling with air as you inhale. We'll begin with nice, long, slow, controlled breaths, but deep, using the diaphragm, filling the gut, and expanding the chest lightly. So So sit with awareness of the tension wherever it may be, emotionally, mentally, physically, or even spiritually. Maybe you're having a block that's making it difficult for you to connect in your practice. Let's go to that block. Release all air, and we'll begin breathing in. Breathe in again, nice and deep. I'm going to breathe one more time. And hold. Keep holding, but don't make yourself uncomfortable. When you are ready, as you release the air that you're holding, release the tension, the block, and the entanglement. Return to natural breath. As we sit with our breathing becoming more and more natural, feeling more relaxed, calmer, settled into our bodies. Let's check in again. Do you have any tension, blockages, or entanglements right now? We can scan the body, just moving the awareness from the top of the head all the way down through the body, releasing any stress or tension we may have. And if you come upon some tension that you are having difficulty releasing, this is where we want to put our focus. We can do the same scan through our emotional state. Am I feeling particularly swayed in any emotional direction? What is it that is attaching me to that emotion right now? Go to there. We can scan our thoughts. Is there a recurring thought that plays like a loop right now? Something you tend to keep going back to in your mind, in your quiet moments? Let's shine a light right there on that thought. Is there a spiritual block or tension? You're having a difficult time releasing into submission to the self or forgiveness? Whatever that block may be, we'll go to there. Sometimes I find there's strong correlations. A tightness in my chest seems physical, but as I sit longer, it becomes clear. This is emotional, it's mental, and it's spiritual as well. Perhaps the tightness in my chest is the symptom of my attachment or my grieving or my spiritual entanglement. Remember the word spirit from spiritus, to breathe. So we'll sit with those entanglements and we'll breathe. Three deep breaths, picturing the breath filling the space of tension the way a balloon is filled with air. Release your air now and we'll begin. And breathe in. Release. Second breath. Release. And on the third breath at the top, we'll hold. One deep breath. Here we go. We're holding. Feel that tension. Focus on the tension. Hold as long as you feel comfortable. And as you release, consciously view the tension contracting into itself until it goes away. And release. Bring the focus on the third eye. Breathe naturally. For the next 5 minutes, we'll modify our breathing technique to assist us in our meditative state. Take notice first of your body. How does it feel right now? Are there any shifts, changes, new awarenesses, sensations? So for the next practice of assisted breathing, we will modify the breath to Ujjayi Pranayama. Ujjayi Pranayama is also referred to as ocean breath. This is a breathing technique that's very similar in function to perhaps the sound that you'd make when you're snoring, or emulating the snoring sound. It's not as guttural. And what we want to do is right in the back of the throat, at the air passageway. When we're breathing in and out of our nose, you can constrict just slightly the breath, giving it the sound of a hissing, or what's often remarked as sounding like the waves coming onto the shore. So try that now. You hear the sound. Inside of your own head, you can hear the ebbing and flowing of the breath. For some, it may help to let the mouth come slightly, almost imperceptibly open. And this will actually create a resonance of the sound in the mouth, increasing the intensity of the sound inside of your head. We will do 5 minutes of Ujjayi breath. Breathing in this fashion throughout the 5 minutes. And see where the awareness and presence with this breath takes us. If you are having difficulty with this breathing, just return to natural breath and remain in meditation. This is okay too. There we go. Remember, your constriction should not be so tight that breathing becomes difficult. It's the slightest amount of resistance that creates the sound. With your eyes closed, bring the focus of the eyeballs themselves up to your third eye, slightly crossing your eyes, looking upward, but doing this with the eyes closed. Bring the focus right on the third eye, and then bring it just behind. Bring your palms together and create friction to warm them. And place them over the eyes. Stretch if you'd like. Oh, wow. Give gratitude to the singing bowl. Thank you to the bell. Okay. How does everyone feel? It's good to be here this morning. Good morning, all. So the chats are open from whatever feature you are joining us in, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or Twitch. I'm going to open the chat onto the screen so it becomes a shared chat just to make you all aware. But if you'd like to share your experience with this morning's practice, did you feel a shift? Were you having a hard time focusing and getting into it? Oh, let me remove this guy. There we go. Thank you, Annie. I'm really glad. I thought it was pretty fantastic as well. I was able to go deep, even in those short moments. In fact, I sometimes think that the brief intervals of meditation, I may be able to get deeper and deeper than sometimes a longer meditation. But it's I really never know what it's going to be like. I never know what to expect. So I've just stopped expecting, right? I've just stopped expecting what's going to happen in whatever practice I'm doing. But yes, I did pour a full cup of tea this morning again, right before we started practicing. I should have learned my lesson from yesterday. Yesterday was perfect. I'll let that tea warm for a moment. Yeah, it's there's this expectation sometimes that, well, if I sit in meditation for an hour a day, then I'm going to be a really calm, really kind of special spiritual being. And maybe, yeah, maybe, maybe not. I don't think there's any guarantees. There's an old story of the Zen monk sitting before his master, and he asks the master, "How long does it take to reach enlightenment?" And the master sat and looks up and he says, "It takes 100 lifetimes." And the monk sat with that. And he said, "What if I sit in meditation for 1 hour a day?" He says, 1 hour a day. Maybe 200 lifetimes. And the monk says, "Well, okay, master. I'm having a difficult time understanding that, so what if I sat in meditation for 4 hours a day?" And the master says, 1,000 lifetimes. And I learned this story, 25 years ago, I think, when I was first getting introduced to Buddhism. And, I was a teenager, right? And I think I just met a Buddhist at Govinda's for the Sunday feast. I was at the Krishna temple, the mandir, for prasad on a Sunday, right? Chanting and eating delicious vegan food at that time. And I remember sitting down with a woman, an older woman with a shaved head, and she was wearing a brown kind of cloth wrap. And she just had the most inviting smile. So I asked her if I could sit with her, and she said okay, and we sat and we were talking about that, and I was saying I'm really trying to learn to get into meditation because I feel like it would really help me. And she was very patient with me with that. And I remember asking a similar question, like, oh man, I hear about these monks that meditate, 16 hours a day. And she kind of laughed, and she recounted that story to me. And yes, it's true. There are people in meditation. I mean, there's reported yogis who have been in meditation for 200 years. Uh, it, the good thing about things like that is it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. It doesn't matter if I believe it or not. Belief isn't important. I mean, you know, it's not what you believe that matters. It's what are you willing to question about your reality? What are you willing to look at? Right? But I took that understanding to mean that when you go into these practices or any practice with an expectation of a result or an outcome, you're really already celebrating disappointment, right? You're already shortchanging yourself of every experience between when you begin and when you reach your goal because you're so focused on what's out there that you're not noticing everything in between. Right now, in fact, I think I could probably show you all. Let's see. I can look out of my window right now. It's a dirty window, and that's okay. And I can look at that mountaintop, right back where the sun is. See that? I could look at that mountaintop, right? And the whole time I'm staring at the mountaintop in awe of its glory. My focus is cutting right through all of these thousands upon thousands of leaves, pine needles, fir limbs, lichen, squirrels and birds and bugs, trees. The way the light's cascading between all of these branches, as it slowly peeks through. There's a lot there. There's a lot that's happening. And it's not that there's a hierarchy of importance, right? The mountaintop isn't more important than the treetop or the leaf or the bug. And it's not that the bug is somehow more spiritual or more revered because it's seen by less people, right? There's often this idea, you know. But it's the ability to understand what's between here and there is still now. It's still now. It's still here. But if I wanted to get to that mountaintop, I couldn't just project my body from here to there. I don't have those skills. Right? It's not in my skill set. It's not in my pay grade, as they say. So I would walk there, and it would be a long walk, and it would take many steps, and I know the path I would take, but it doesn't mean that I would get there, and when I got there, it's not going to look, from where I'm sitting up there, anything like what it looks from where I'm sitting down here. Yeah? That makes sense? Because where I'm sitting down here, it's this beautiful, mysterious place that still has some morning fog, wrapping through the trees, and there's still a little bit of snow on the ground up there, and it creates this kind of heavenly glow as the lights kind of reflecting off of that snow and cutting up through the trees. And there's all these beautiful colors. You know, I'm seeing the reds of the burnt pines and fir from a couple years ago in the fire, and the new fresh greens. I'm seeing all of this at once, and it's this beautiful picturesque mountaintop. But when I get there, after the long journey to get there, right, it's going to look a lot different where I'm standing up there. I'm going to see a lot less of it. And I'm going to see the world from that perspective. So I've learned to stop having an expectation of what the end of my meditation is going to bring. And then when I get to the end of it, I can sit with it and be in awe. Wow. I feel different than I did. I do. I feel energized and calm at the same time. I feel focused and aloof at the same time. And that's cool. But it might not be the same next time I sit down. And it might not be the same next time you sit down. Let's see what's happening in our comments here. Hello, Trice and Silas and Annie. Good morning, y'all. My out-of-body experiences only has happened in my dreams or underwater so far. Yeah, I think that those are, those are really good times to really start practicing some lucid dreaming and astral projection, right? Like we can understand the sensation of what it is to not be this body really strongly in our dreams. And the fact, I think that probably the dream world is one of the realizations that we are something greater than this body. We're something, and by greater, I don't mean better. I just mean something larger than this body, something that goes deeper and farther than this body, right? This body, we talked about this before, that this body's temporary, right? And this body is ever changing, and I'll never have the same body tomorrow that I have today. And it's incremental and it's slow change, right? So far, it's taken 43 years for my body to be this. And in another 43 years, it will be something far different. And then 43 years after that, it'll be soil and grass. It'll be trees and deer and birds and creepy crawlies. It'll be completely transformed. Right? It takes time. But in our dream worlds, right, when we know we are dreaming, this is the kicker here. When we're conscious and aware that this is a dream, then we have a level of freedom, right? And there's a practice you can do. You can practice lucid dreaming. You can learn how to have your conscious mind enter your dream states. People do it all the time. There's things you can do to learn this. There's medicinal plant medicine aids that can help with this. You know, skull cap, mugwort. But I'm not suggesting you try these herbs without consulting someone who is really practiced and studied in these herbs. So don't even take my naming of the plants as a suggestion. But there are plants that can help you in the practice of lucid dreaming. But what's happening is, right, you're bringing consciousness into your sleep, into your dream life. And you're becoming aware that you are not restricted in that dream life to what you thought you knew. Now, imagine we can bring that same level of awareness into our awakened life. That's another level, right? That's another level. And then from the life, we bring that consciousness into our death. Conscious dying. Where every moment along the way, we are on the journey. Wow. Wow. But sometimes, when we spend so much time differentiating the dream world from the awake world, we start to convince ourselves that this one's almost real. Yeah. It almost feels real, doesn't it? It's really good. These guys are really good. But yeah, this is why I think when I think about statements, and I'll get into this one more another time as well. We can always come back to these ideas, but when I hear the statement, "What doesn't kill me makes me stronger," and it's an NLP, right? It's a neuro linguistic programming. It's a way to shift our perspective to change the paradigm of our suffering, right? And there's probably a lot of truths to it, I guess, but sometimes it feels a bit trite, and sometimes it feels a bit unaware of itself. Especially when you're in the midst of your suffering. If you go to your trusted beloved, your best friend, your partner, your parent, your therapist, whoever it is that you trust deeply, that you love deeply, um, and you were to say to them, "I'm suffering. I'm really suffering. This is very difficult. My grief is so heavy that sometimes I find it difficult to breathe, and I just don't really know how to go on as I was." And that person would look at you and say, "Well, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So, hey, you're getting stronger. Great." You'd probably be like, "Whoa, even if that's true, like, why would you discount my experience right now? Why would you shortcut me to the end result of me somehow being a stronger person for this experience?" So I don't know that if it's even appropriate to say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Maybe it is. And it's fine. If people want to say that, if that helps people, great. But as I was hearing it and I was playing it around in my head, this was at the gym yesterday. I was playing it through my head and all of these different things. This is kind of what I do in between reps. Doing my exercises, and then I have like moments of thought as I let my body relax. Um, I thought, that which kills me makes me stronger. Only that which kills me makes me stronger. And the reason that I say that is it's only when I come upon a situation that's so transformative that it completely kills my identity, my belief, the thing that I was sure I knew, right? I was absolute about something. I was absolutely right, man. Like you could not shake me. And then something happens to awaken me out of that dream life. And it awakens me in a way that makes it nearly impossible for me to go back to that way of thinking, that way of being, that way of behaving, right? That my only option then is to become, right? My only option is to become. And when I become, I now have turned knowledge into wisdom. And I've turned that wisdom of knowing where I was and where I am into compassion. Because if I can understand that I have been through all of these different absolutes and all of these different identities and all of these different incarnations of myself in my life, then so have you. And so will you. And so this takes the isness away from our experience, right? This person no longer is this thing. They're just visiting. They're just visiting. I'm just visiting here. Pretty soon, something will happen that will drastically change the way I believe, probably change the words I use, so it changes the way I speak, which will in turn change the way I think, which will in turn change the way I behave. And the old way of thinking and the old way of behaving and the old way of believing will seem dead to me. So that which kills me makes me stronger. And it's in allowing ourselves to understand the importance of this function. It's very important. Very important. In fact, as a person who sits with people in their dying times and who talks with people in their grief, I can say that the amount of energy we have put into avoiding letting go is equal to our suffering. Because it's in the letting go that we release the suffering. And when we release the suffering, we can become. Right? Think of birth. I've been at a couple births, right? Been present, catching babies. I haven't given birth with my body, but I know that there's a difference in the pain and suffering of labor and the immediate rapture after birth. I've seen it many times. And if there's any mothers, and there's at least one in here, maybe they can speak to that. It's the release and the letting go that brings the enraptured joy of existence. But who you were a moment before and who you are now, they are not the same. They are not the same. You have been reborn in a new way. And if you can master the ability to allow this to occur, it probably just happens all of the time. When you see these beings that we consider to be enlightened beings or these light-filled beings, you know who I'm talking about, right? To you, it may be a different person to me, but when you sit in the presence of these people, maybe somebody like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, maybe it's somebody like an Amma, when she walks into a room and there's just this energetic shift. You are enraptured into a sea of love when these people come into a room, right? Mingyur Rinpoche is very similar. Muji may be similar. And it's, of course, going to depend upon what brings you into your love with this person. But the point is, it seems as if sometimes these people have touched into the essence of always flowing. Receiving, letting go, receiving, letting go. It's nonstop. Letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. Letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. Letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. And it's in the letting go that we open our ability to receive. So what kills me makes me stronger. Let's see, what's happening over here? Hi, Sarah. Oh, so lovely. Sarah says that skull cap is great for loss, grief, and anxiety. It's only needed and works when in a certain state. Hawthorn berry is like a sense of calmness and settling in. Mugwort is amazing for dream world. Absolutely. Burning bay leaves before bed Some of these herbs only work in certain headspaces and places in life. I haven't really found any herbs that my spiritual consciousness, except maybe mushroom tea, but then where is the clarity? Your vision of the mountain and being in that space in the trees and taking it all in and just being is for me, I think, the place that humbled me in awe and connects on a higher, more clear space. Yes. Yeah. Yes, I can attest to my experiences with mugwort as well. Uh, but you're right. They work really well when you are in a space to receive them. But uh, yeah, it's important that people learn about their own body and their own experience with it. If they can work with somebody on an intimate level to talk about emotional states, physical, and if there's any contraindicators like any other medications they're taking. But these things are amazing, amazing gifts, and all of the things that you mentioned are available right here, uh, where we are. In Oregon, and wherever you are, someplace else. Most likely, there's an herbalist who has an apothecary who has these or access to these plant medicines, or there is an equivalent plant medicine from the place where you live. Um, but thank you for sharing that. I know you have a lot of skills and knowledge with these plant medicines. You do a lot of work around them. So thank you. It's really great to see you in the group this morning. And that said, I'm just noticing we're at that time. We're getting to an hour. So I'm going to put my hands together in the recognized position of gratitude and prayer. And my gratitude right now is for that which kills me. That which unforgivingly alters everything about what I know in any moment. That allows me to become who I am, not who I was. And my prayer today is that may all beings find joy. May all beings find joy. So thank you for joining me on this journey home today. You can check out all of our offerings from our different avenues by going to Journey Home Meditations on Facebook, finding the page, and at the top of the page there's a post that's pinned with a link tree link that will open up a web page that will take you anywhere you need to go for Journey Home Meditations. We've got Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and soon we will have the website live. So that's exciting. It'll also take you to our Patreon page, and very grateful for anyone who is here every day and whenever you are here occasionally. And we are very grateful for those who have the ability and the resources to share their finances to help this project go forward. I haven't updated it yet because, again, I'm still working on the website, but just giving you a quick clue as to some of the things that money is actually going to is we are developing programs right now with some pretty solid proposals to bring mindfulness and meditation into memory care facilities, elder homes, elder care homes, senior centers, and schools, starting even as young as elementary school with meditations and breathing practices, all the way through high school, as well as um, justice centers, trying to bring these into jails, juvenile centers, prisons. Um, and yeah, the support of Patreon helps us to keep the nuts and bolts together to be able to create these programs and seek funding for them and make them a reality larger than just one person. We're trying to make them a reality for low income and otherwise underserved populations to get access to these skills. So thank you so much for giving what you have to give, whatever that may be. All right, y'all. See you tomorrow morning for Sutra Saturday. Very excited. Adios.